Kingfish, where do I start? These fish were one of the driving factors and one of the main reasons I even bought a boat. I knew I had these big fish on my doorstep, and them being inaccessible to me just drove me crazy. So I bought a boat, headed out, and the first season was pretty much a write-off. Like, I was learning how to use my boat, learned how to use a sounder. The second year, I'd learn a bit more about the ocean and what times I needed to focus my efforts around. So that second year, come October, I started hitting the kings. I'd seen a few getting caught. Then came the moon, the full moon, the October full moon, and I'll never forget this. I did 4 days back to back. The first two, we were seeing kings getting caught. We were drifting the same line, using the same lures, but we couldn't get a bite. That was frustrating. On the third day, the day before the full, we headed out, and the same thing happened. We're seeing kings getting caught. No hookups for us. It was a bit windier that day, and we trolled back up to the start of our drift, and Joel just threw his lure out the back as we were heading up to the start of our drift, and bang, he got smoked, and the reel started screaming, and I knew we were onto a good king. And that was the first time I'd ever even seen one of these fish hooked firsthand. And we bring the fish in, and as it came in, it had a mate with it.
He's got a mate with him.
Put the jig down in front of him a couple of times, not trying to get in the way of Joel's fish as I was tangling with him. And
oh, I got your line.
Yeah, you're off.
I was like, all right, well, I'll just help you land your fish. You've got him on, we'll leave the mate. As we tried to get Joel's fish, and these fish just don't give up. He just kept going. The mate was still there. I said, I've got to have one more drop.
Look at his mate.
Oh, no.
Oh, he's inhaled it.
Oh, I've got to have a drop of that. I switched out, I grabbed the plastic, dropped the plastic in, and he ate it.
Oh, yeah.
No way.
Yeah, on the plastic.
And chaos erupted. Double hookups, we're trying to land them.
Grab his tail, you can hold on.
Yeah. No.
Take it.
That was insane, and that's where it really started for me. After that, the next day, I got the chance to fish with GT Buster. He messaged me, said, where are you getting these kings? I said, down on my local, come down if you want. So he's like, what about tomorrow? I'm like, oh my God, I've done 3 days back to back. I was tired, getting up for work every day, but I couldn't miss that opportunity. And this was the day of the full moon. The fishing was insane. We had schools of kings following, hitting lures out of the water, but we couldn't hook one. Eventually, I hooked one. I had a wing knot in my line, got snapped off. Whoa! And I was gutted, kept fishing. I hooked another one, dropped him. Benny hooked one, dropped him. Yes! No! Hooked him! Oh! It just wasn't happening. Other people were catching fish, and eventually on one of our last drifts, put the popper out there, and bang, he got one, and that was the biggest king I'd ever seen. It was probably about 15 kilos. I ended up going on a trip, so the rest of that year, I didn't get to spend a lot more time on them as I would have liked. But the next year came, and I was eager to chase them again. So I started hitting it earlier this year. I started in September, and that was when I started to work it out a little bit more. I was getting bites, missing fish, hooking fish, getting smoked. Everything was happening, and I still hadn't landed one off the top, which is what I really wanted. And then it came to October the 30th. I was out with a mate, Heath, early morning session. We just got out. I think it was our first, maybe our second drift. Put the stick bait out, big boil, and bang, I got my first kingy off the top, and that was insane. And I put a bit more time into them for the rest of that year, but I didn't actually get another fish. Had bites and had chances, but I was happy with that. One off the top, that's all I wanted. So that would have been the third year really of owning my boat, but the second year of chasing these fish. third year was this year, and we had the chance in August, so a month earlier every year. I wanted to catch more, I wanted to catch them on different methods. I wanted to jig one, I wanted to get more off the top, I wanted one on a popper. And I said this year I'm gonna put everything I've got into it, and I've hit them hard from August now until November, we're in now. August, bang, got my first one on the jig. September, same thing, boils, bites, missed fish. October, I finally landed my PB, which is the reason after I began this journey and I landed my first one, I wanted to get that 20 kilo plus model. That's the trophy, the goal for me, especially off my local. I know there's bigger fish there and I've seen bigger fish get caught there, but 20 kilo was the benchmark. For the rest of this season and this journey, I've just been going. I've had the chance to fish with GT Buster again. I got another nice one on the jig. I've got one off the top, more on plastics, and I finally got the chance to take one of my mates who's been coming with me for them 3 years, but has never had the opportunity to go out when they've been firing. Every time they've been on, he's missed out, and to see him get that fish and to get it off the top made it all that much better. These fish are insane. Like, they will shatter your tackle, snap rods, snap leaders, whatever they can do, they will do. And they've got to be one of the strongest fish in the ocean. Like, I've fished for GTs a lot, and I think kingies, when they want to, they don't always go that hard, but when they want to and they really want to get back to the reef and do ya, I reckon they can pull a GT backwards. These fish, when they come in close at this time of the year in the springtime, they're coming in here to spawn. So anyone who's going out chasing this fish, I urge you to take care of them if you're going to release them, and try and not keep the big ones. They're the main breeders, and to put them back and to see the generations of kingfish, so my kids and their kids can go out and catch kingfish and feel this same feeling that you get when you land one of these trophy kings. Like, that's what it's all about. They're such a special fish. They go so hard. You can catch them on a multitude of lures and different techniques. You can jig them, plastics, top water, like, you name it, poppers, stick baits. These fish will eat it. They're not easy to tempt, and you got to put in the hours and the time, especially in these high pressured fisheries like we have down here on the Gold Coast. But when it all comes together, it's so worth it. So this is my journey to my PB and my dream 20 kilo kingfish. I didn't weigh it, but he was 1.30 m long, and looking at the New South Wales records, 1.30 m fish, or 1.25 m to the fork, or even 1.20 m to the fork, is 1.20 m to the fork is 22 kilos. 1.25 m to the fork is 24 kilos. So I'm saying my fish was 20 kilos, and I'll be happy with that. That was my dream. I accomplished it after 3 years fishing for these fish all through the springtime. So I hope everyone enjoys this. I'm putting this trailer together as a little teaser to what is to come in this series of videos. This is something that I'm very passionate about and something I put a lot of time into. So I hope everyone enjoys this series. Thanks for watching. This is the Kingfish Quest.